Welcome back. And in the months 1 to 3, you can take the first course, which is the options, which is the basics on call options and put options. And then I also have this options foundation course on time decay, implied volatility, and the Greeks. And here again, you can look through all this, all the material that I'm explaining. And I think it should be clear to you that there is a significant amount of learning required before you jump with 2 feet into the options market. And if you jump into the options market without knowing these concepts, it's very dangerous. So that's what I'm trying to get. That's the point I'm trying to get across. So now let's look at our months 4 to 6 and what that looks like. I mentioned it before that the profile of an option buyer and an option seller is very, very different, and you need to understand those differences. Even though you might not be an option seller in the first few months, and you shouldn't be an option seller at all in the first few months, you will learn, once you become an expert, you will see that assuming an option seller's profile is a very viable and a very profitable way to play the options game. But you won't get there for at least 6 months. Then in months 4 to 6, you're going to have to move to the next step of options trading, and that is option spreads. Option spreads involve more than one option at one time in the same strategy, in the same trade. So you'll be buying one kind of an option and you'll be selling another kind of option. Or you'll be buying 2 different kinds of options, or you'll be selling 2 different kinds of options. These are called spreads, and spreads control your costs and they control your risks. But spreads are not a simple concept. You've got to master what you studied in steps in months 1 to 3 before you can get here. And once you get here, you've got to understand how these spreads work. So that itself is a 2 to 3 month process while you're learning what these spreads are. There are 4 kinds of spreads, and you're going to have to learn those 4 basic spreads. And with options, and whenever you're dealing in the market, you're going to have to deal with probability, because in the financial markets, in the stock markets, it's always good to have a probabilistic mindset whenever you approach your trades. And then during this time, in months 4 to 6, you're going to have to master what we call position Greeks. In the previous roadmap, you learned about what these were, what the Greeks were, but that was from a theoretical standpoint. And now you're going to have to actually look at it on a trading platform and see how all these Greeks work. So now it's time for you to put some real money trades on your long calls and your long puts. So these are your single option trades that you were watching in the previous roadmap. Now you're ready to put some real money trades. So, but you would put 1 contract trades, and then now in these 3 months, you're going to paper trade your option spreads, because you should have learned about option spreads and you should be paper trading these 4 different option spreads at this point. Now, bear in mind, I want to give you a little spoiler alert here. Option spreads are the centerpiece of the options trading playbook. So what do we mean by that? So options trading has 3 specific stages or steps. One is the single options, and that's what you did in the previous roadmap. You have a call option and you have a put option, and you can buy each one of them. So there are a total of 4 basic strategies which you learned in the previous roadmap. The next step is the option spread. The option spread is an extension of what you learned in the previous roadmap, but now each of these strategies involve 2 options at the same time. Option spreads are the centerpiece of the options playbook game. So, which means once you master option spreads, you've acquired a skill for life. Now, once you master them, which will take time, which will take about 6 months by itself. But once you master that, you will know how to create a monthly income strategy. So, which means this is like almost like collecting a paycheck. Obviously, it's not going to be an exact amount each month, But it's like that. It's you collect a paycheck and you've got to approach the options game as a business. You've got to learn the craft of this business first. There are tools that you need to understand. In any business, you've got to know what are the insides of the business. You've got to learn the craft of the business. You've got to learn the tools. And option trading is no different from that. And if you take this approach for the next 12 months, you'll be there. So this is a very key step here in this roadmap. Months 4 to 6 is when you're going to be dealing with option spreads. And this is the time you also need to understand all the other things. So you're going to have to get into technical analysis, volume analysis. What is the VIX index? What are ETFs? How do you trade ETFs? How do you trade indexes? Trade management, risk management. So these are all the things that make you a complete trader. So during this time, you're going to be studying all of these different things. But you're still paper trading option spreads at this point. Although you might be putting 1 or 2 contract trades on your single options, you're not doing that with option spreads yet. So we have a course on option spreads. We have another course where we put live trades. So all of these are live trades. So except for the first 2 courses, which are theory, everything else that you're going to see on Udemy, for the most part, is going to involve live trades. So in course 3, I'll actually explain all of that later. So that's what the second part of your roadmap is going to look like, which is months 4 to 6. In the next lecture, I'm going to show you what months 6 to 12 are going to look like.